Okay, so working with functions, the same way that control structures like allow you to repeat and do different types of code, the same thing is going to be allowed to do in functions, except it's a lot more complex and intricate, and it lets you do a lot more than just a simple if loop and a while loop, or an if statement and a while loop, I mean. So when we're making a function, or first of all, let's have some code, right? We're going to print, or actually, let's have the user enter a string. Please enter a string. And then we'll have them enter a number. Let's go back. X equals input. Please enter a number, right? We'll have them, we'll print out the string using an F string. Actually, let's just literally just print S, and then we'll print with an F string. Your number is X. Oh, whoops, this isn't supposed to have a squiggle. Your number is X. Double your number is X times 2. Okay. So we run this, we get some simple stuff. Perfect. So if I want to convert this bit of code into a function, so it can be repeated and called using different inputs, the way I would start that is I would write keyword def, definition, define a function. And then the next part is we have to give it a name. So we can call it my function for now. You would want something intuitive like double number, but for now we'll just call it my function. And then you open parentheses and you put a colon. So inside this part goes what we call arguments. So you would pass different arguments or pass different parameters. Arguments and parameters are interchangeable into this function that would be used in the indent. So now we'd write a bit of code. So if we want to repeat exactly this, we can literally just put this, right? We can just put this all exactly like this. This is a no argument function. Anytime you just say my function, this stuff happens. So let's go. If I want to run this code now, though, if I hit run, nothing happens because nothing's actually been called. There's no runnable code right now. All the runnable stuff is inside my function. So I need to tell the computer run my function. And that's how you would call it. So now when I run this, now it's enter asking for a string, asking for a number, and there we go. So if I want to make this a little bit more useful, okay, I might want to print S and print double my number every time, no matter what I enter. So I'm going to put those parts here. I'm going to have you run, enter a string, and then enter a number. So now I need arguments in this function. So I need some type of string, and I need some type of number. So these can be anything. These are just like placeholder variables. So this code underneath this indent is going to assume that there's a variable string and assume that there's a variable number. Okay. So now we have S and X here. So when I call this function, when I call my function, first I need to enter. You'll see this little pop up. It needs a string. So the string that I'm going to enter is S. And then it wants a number. So we're going to make X that number. So now when I run this, we get the same effect. So this is particularly helpful though, because I can do this same set of functions multiple times now. So I can do S1, or let's just copy this so I can do it again. Right, and I can call my function S1 and X1. Like this, S1 and X1. So I can do this now. A couple times, getting different results. It's repeating this execution of code every single time. So instead of printing though, like let's say I want to use what double the number is. So I would return, I would add in one more key argument. This is a return. So the way this works is it basically turns this function into input output. So you're going to input a string and a number. You're going to run this bit of code based on that string and number, and then output, spit out a new value. And that value is going to be just X time or number times 2. Okay. So when I run this now, nothing will change. Okay. Nothing will change. My string and my number both pop up. Hello world, my number is 8, double my number is 16. But this function just spat out 16. It just doesn't know, it just didn't do it anywhere, right? So what I can do is I can store this in a new variable. So I can store what's put out here in result. Let's actually, so we can tell the difference, we're going to make this times 3. So we're going to make it triple. So once again, I'm going to run this code and nothing should change. All right. And 8. So we get hello world again. Our number is 8, double the number is 16. But this 16 now should be stored in result. So when I print, the result is result. Exclamation point, because we're happy. Okay, so now when I go hello world and I enter 8, we get number is 8, double number is 16, and we're spitting out this result to be used. I can repeat this now. All right, so I can repeat this now, but let's say I can carry over result now. So I can have, I can make result, I can put the result of this function into the second time the function's called now. And then I can go again, the new result. Okay, so let's run again. 8. Now we're going to enter another string. Number is 24, double my number is 48. The new result is result. That's because I didn't make it result 1. So let's run that again so it actually works. 8. Wow. Number is 24, double is 48, result is 72. So that is the way functions work. You don't have to just return numbers and strings though. You can return Booleans. So let's make a new function. Let's say is this number a large number? So we're going to need one argument here. We're going to need one number. Okay. And we're just going to see, is this number, or let's, we're going to make a Boolean flag variable, which is just going to be a variable to tell us if something is true or false or not. So by default, it's going to be false. And we're going to say if the number is greater than 100, it's going to be a large number. And then we would just return true, or we return flag. So this is either going to be set to false. If it's bigger than 100, becomes true. A simple form, a simple bit of code here. So now we can input some stuff. So now let's call is a large number. We're going to see, let's just print actually is large number. Let's comment out this bit of code for now. We're going to see if something's a large number. So I can put in any number here. Let's put in 12. I run this. Oh, where is the issue? String in line 4. I don't know why that happened. Okay. This is false, but 120 would return true. So this is just spitting out a true or false value. I can store that in a variable. Let's just say yes. And I can again print yes or no. So is it one? It's true. Yes, it is. A 10. No, it is not. So this is helpful for asking for input and such. I can take this now. Let's go back to just the result is this, okay? And we can put wow is large number, because is large number is going to translate to true or false every single time. So let's actually take these outside the loop so it'll run. So we're just going to ask for a string, ask for a number. And while is large number, actually we want this while it's not a large number. We're going to run this and put this into a result. And then we're going to change x now to equal whatever result equaled. So we're looking at this. So while is large number spits out false, we're going to do my function where we're going to print out the string and we're going to take the number times 3 and spit out a result. Let's go. Hello world. I can enter a number 8. So as you can see, this kept looping until we got past 72 up to 144. And it eventually got to 216 because that all happened in the loop, but it broke automatically once we got outside of is large number. So another example of this, if we go back to the ice cream that we were working with before, we can use functions instead of repeating all this if-else statement. You see, we do the same if-else statement with slightly different input 3 times. So we can simplify it by just writing it once. So if I'm going to make a function, let's put it up here. We're going to define is valid input. Okay. So when we're checking if there's valid input, there's 2 things. We need what the user entered. So I'll put something the user entered, user entry, and then we're going to put our valid options, right? So if we're looking at this, user to enter something, that's flavor, and then our options are C, V, or T, okay? So we're just going to check if the user entry is not in. So this is a new keyword, in. So you can take a string or a list and just if the character that you're asking is present in that list or string, it'll return true. But we're doing not, so it's reversing it. CVT, right? Because those are our 3 options. Or it's going to be valid options right now. We later replace valid options up here with CVT when we call this function. If the user entry is not in it, we're going to print error, try again, right? Otherwise, we need this to actually return something. I forgot. So I need this to say, we need a valid. It's going to be false, else valid is equal to true. And we're just going to return whether or not it's valid. Okay. So let's just reformat this. Yeah, so we want to use something different than valid because we're already using valid here. So I'll go back to just flag. Flag. Okay. So now I can replace this. So we're checking if valid or not is true here. So literally all we'd have to do now is set valid equal to our function is valid input. Okay. Because this is going to return true or false and either break this loop. And every time we call this function, it's going to check if the user entry is in the valid options. So when I go to call it, it's asking for a user entry, which is going to be flavor, and then our valid options, which are C, V, and T. So when I run this should still work. Oh, whoops, this is not the right code. Okay. Chocolate, vanilla, or twist. I enter Y. Error, try again. If I enter C, we go on to scoops. So moving on to scoops now to convert scoops. We're looking for 1, 2, or 3. So we're going to set valid again equal to is valid input because this is returning true or false, which will change it to break the loop. The user entry is scoops and our options. We're going to need to use a list since this is numbers 1, 2, and 3. And then one more time down here, we're just going to set valid equal to is valid input for dish, and our valid options are W and bowl. If I wanted to make this a list, W, comma, B. So now T works, 9 does not, but 2 does. H doesn't work, but B does. So hopefully this helps you get started with using functions in Python.